All right, hi, I'm Alan Sepinwall. I'm from hitfix.com. I am proud to introduce you to the creators and cast of iZombie, starting immediately to my left, creator and executive producer Rob Thomas. Creator and executive producer Diane Ruggiero Wright.
Yeah.
As our eponymous zombie live, Rose McIver. As her new cop best friend, Clive Babineau, Malcolm Goodwin. As her very enthusiastic colleague at the morgue, Raoul Coley. As her very much in-demand ex-fiancé, Major Lillywhite, Robert Buckley. And as a mysterious figure who I think we saw zombie out in that footage, Blaine, David Anders. Okay, I'm sure many of you in this room know that iZombie is based on a comic. Rob and Diane, talk a little bit about what you decided to take and not take. You're doing all new character names, and a lot of things are different here.
Yeah, and in the comic book, she eats brains, and she inherits the memories of the people whose brains she eats, and she frequently tries to sort out the issues of the deceased, the ones that she ate. And we're taking that big idea for the show. Liv eats the brains of people and solves their problems, but we needed a story engine that gave us something every week. So our zombie is working in a police morgue, so there's always a supply of people who have been murdered, and that gives us a case each week to solve.
Okay, because I've spent the last week reading the entire run of iZombie, and in addition to her solving the deaths of the people whose brains she eats, there are also vampires and mummies and a were-terrier and a number of other monsters. Should we be expecting to see the were-terrier by sweeps?
No. We love the comic book. We're going to be a straight zombie show.
It's kind of trite. It's another zombie fake psychic procedural, but we figured we just ride the wave, what's ever popular, just get in on it, so.
Have any of you in the cast read the comic?
Yeah.
All of us.
Yes. All right, so what were some of your favorite parts of it that you're maybe trying to petition Rob and Diane to put into the show?
I just really I felt like the tone of the dialogue in the comics very much feels like the tone of Liv's dialogue in the series, and that makes me really excited because I hadn't read a female character like that before.
I love the humour of it. I found its quirky sense of humour and definitely hoping that definitely was in our pilot as well, and hopefully that will be there, and also the were-terrier was awesome, but
Rose, did you have any pause about playing a zombie, even if she is a smart, crime-solving, plucky zombie?
Playing a zombie's okay. Playing a medical student's hard. That's the part I'm still struggling with, getting my head around. I think what's fun about this character is she is still trying to be a human, and she has the same history that I have. She grew up and went to school, and I think I'm really focusing on those elements. We have an amazing team that we get to work with for the stunt sequences and the zombie elements and the prosthetics and makeup and everything. So I'm really just working on making sure she's a grounded character.
Rob and Diane, why did you want Rose to be your zombie?
She knocked us out in the audition. We wanted someone charming who you'd root for. We wanted, if we ever needed to go to a New Zealand accent, we wanted someone who could do it flawlessly.
That's my call card.
I had a really surfacey response to Rose. When she walked in, I just said to Rob, "I'm getting a pool." We're going to have a hit. This is going to be awesome.
Weirdly, when we cast Veronica Mars, I saw 100 actresses, and Kristen Bell was the first actress in the room, and I knew I had it I knew I had it the whole time we were casting. We saw 100 actresses for iZombie, and Rose was 100th, and we were freaking out. We had not seen our zombie until Rose walked in the door, so had both experiences now.
She walked in, and Dan Etheridge and Danielle Stockdike stapled themselves to her.
Yeah.
And it was just they just stayed stuck to her until she agreed.
All right, okay, we're getting into the nerdy portion of the panel here. I want some clarity on how her powers work. She can speak a language that the dead woman can speak. What else can she possibly pick up from eating brains?
Yeah, we're gonna have fun each week. The idea is that when she eats the brains of one of the corpses in the morgue, she does get flashes of their memories that help solve the case. But in addition to that, if she ate the brain of a concert pianist, she's going to be able to play a little
I think we need to
piano
have a
after
conversation.
that. But she's also, she also picks up some negative traits. She becomes a kleptomaniac in the pilot. We have an episode a couple later where she becomes a sociopath. So she gets some good things, she gets some bad things, but she's always inheriting some of the qualities of the deceased.
Okay. Do the voices ever control her? Like, is she ever at risk of being taken over by the brains she has consumed?
Well, like just to take the sociopath example, it's an unpleasant ride while she's in that, and she does some things that she would not normally do. But I don't think that the brain ever completely overtakes her. She still has her own will. She just picks up some tendencies.
Right. So from the first time I mentioned to people that you guys were doing this show, they said, "Oh, okay, so it's Veronica Mars as a zombie," and they seemed very excited by this idea. Would you like to encourage this belief, or do you want to sort of try to establish how it is different?
Well, I would encourage it. I mean, Diane and I have worked on a lot of stuff together. We have a very similar aesthetic. I think our shows are going to, they're going to be dramas with a sense of humor. So I think tonally we're going to live in that world, but it's clearly dialed up. There'll be more action in this. People often put Veronica Mars and Buffy the Vampire Slayer in a similar category, and I would say that iZombie gets closer to Buffy than we did with Veronica Mars.
Now, Diane, how would you say her voice is different from Veronica's voice?
Oh, I guess she's a little less snarky, I guess you would say. I mean, she's still equally as funny.
Veronica was had such a misanthropic view of the world that I don't think Liv necessarily does.
And Rob won't let me make 80s references anymore, so there's not that. Wait, she's 17. How come she's talking about The Breakfast Club? So
Right.
Liv won't be doing that.
We do the math. I was doing the math the other day, and it was like, if our audience is 25, making a Breakfast Club reference is like if I'd made a Some Like It Hot reference when I was in my mid-20s. That
I would have thought you were so cool.
Rose said before that the hardest part for her was playing a medical student. You have to sort of deal with a lot of medical terminology in the show. How has that been so far?
It's not bad. I'm Indian by descent, so it's in my blood to sort of be good with doctors. It's been awesome. I've went through medical books, and I learned in theory to perform autopsies, and I watched autopsy videos and spoke to pathologists. So I'm ready to go. Give me a scalpel, let's do it.
Robert, what were you told about sort of who Major is and what he's going to be about when you took the job?
By the way, I feel like Raul is like Beyonce, and we're like the other two girls in Destiny's Child. We're just fighting for this microphone. So, like, we're relevant, and we're still employed. The character has changed kind of significantly, more or less since we got it. I mean, initially, the only thing that's kind of stayed the same is that he still lives ex-fiancé, and he played college football. So that informs the character a lot. But we do know, I mean, for my homework, I spent a lot of time going through ex-girlfriend's old text messages. Looking in windows and calling late at night and just breathing. And so, like, I'm like the Daniel Day-Lewis of mediocre acting, the ex-fiancé.
All right. While we're at that end of the table, David, we didn't see a lot of you in the clip reel, but what can you tell us about Blaine?
Are you ready? How do I top that? Blaine, as you see, he becomes a zombie. He's a well-to-do rich kid. Actually, he's not well-to-do. He's a drug dealer, and he deals a drug called utopium. She's trying to come to terms with her zombieism, and I'm. What's that?
You're embracing.
I'm embracing it.
I'm trying to
yeah.
bring ethics to the table with it.
You're trying to, yeah. There's no ethics with Blaine De Beers. That's his name, Blaine De Beers.
Best name on television.
Great name, right?
We have a good zombie. It only stands to reason that we should have a
Bad
less
zombie.
good zombie.
And I twist who twists his mustache, his pale mustache.
David, you have some experience with this crowd before, including playing a character who was exceptionally long-lived. Is any of that applicable here?
Well, are you referring to heroes?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, this is very different, and I responded to this script. It's the same way as many of my cast members to the humor in it. I've always been the bad guy in everything. And I am once again the bad guy. But I get to make jokes in this one. I'm funny. I get to take the bass line for a walk and keep the simple splashy. Right? I don't know. I'll give this back to Robert.
Well, let's follow on that. Rob, why is he always a bad guy? What is it about David Anders that says villain?
Well, I think bad guys often get to be the showy role. Like the Blaine character is never the one who we're going to say, "Oh, could you dial it down a little bit?" You know, you like get to go for the jugular, and David Anders is great at that. It's like being Loki in the Avengers. They're never saying, "Yeah, turn it down a notch there." So all scenery chewing will be courtesy of David Anders in the show.
And all brain chewing will be courtesy of Rose.
Yes.
Okay.
And if I could chime in on that, due to a mistake in casting, I initially read for Blaine, and I can safely tell you, I couldn't make a single one of those lines work. There's an audition tape out there of me just hosing that role, so it takes a really great actor to pull that off, so that's why he's got the job.
Now, Malcolm, how much, if at all, have you studied up on police work? Did you do a ride-along or anything as research for this?
You know what? I watched a lot of Shaft because the description of the character was Shaft meets Cleavon Little from Blazing Saddle and Jordan Peele. So I watched a lot of Key and Peele, Blazing Saddle, and Shaft. That's why I wear a turtleneck.
He looks good in a turtleneck.
And the shoulder holsters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rob, you said you wanted to have the mystery element as something to drive story every week. Is it just going to be, brain-solving mystery of the week, or is there more to the show?
No, and it would have been like we absolutely wanted to avoid that, because then it would have zombie in the title, and yet it would just be brain-eating girl solves crime. We want there to be a zombie show at the heart of it. So there will be a murder case solved each week or investigated each week, but we want to deliver on the zombie premise. So there's, like in Veronica Mars, there was a big murder mystery driving you through the season. In iZombie, there will be a big zombie plot line. Like Rose figures out that she may be the linchpin in preventing a zombie apocalypse. So there will always be zombie stuff in addition to the mystery sort of driving a story each week.
All right, now the zombie has a long and storied history on screen and now the small screen as well, and this is a different kind of zombie story than I've seen before, but I'm just curious for each of the panelists, we can go down the line, starting with David. Do you have a favorite zombie movie, show, story, something along those lines?
Favorite zombie show, favorite zombies. iZombie. I hear good things. Walking Dead's good. What's the
20.
We will accept that answer.
Oh no, yeah, Devin. 28 Days Later. Yeah, that's
mine.
That's the pinnacle for me. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. It's crazy. I had the same one. It's 28 Days Later. So there you go.
I'm going to change it up a bit. My favourite zombie story is Resident Evil 1 and 2. I love them.
You know what? I didn't watch a lot of zombie stuff. I had nightmares as a kid. But I would say 28 Days Later, honestly. Yeah, 100%.
Danny Boyle killed it.
And I only recently saw Night of the Living Dead, and that was incredible to really understand the roots of where we're all coming from with the zombie genre. So I really enjoyed that, and 28 Days Later, of course, but it's been done.
Okay, so.
Get out something comfortable, guys.
No, I'm kidding. I might be a little obsessed with The Walking Dead. I'm just telling you. I'm a little obsessed. But my favorite zombie movie is Shaun of the Dead. I don't care.
Several years ago, I got together with my producing partner, and we spent 6 weeks holed up developing a post-apocalyptic zombie show. I loved it. I had set pitches. It was called Death Valley, had the whole world figured out. And the week we were set to go in and start pitching our zombie show, big headline in Variety, Frank Darabont sells Walking Dead to AMC, and it crushed us. So I'm finally getting to do the zombie show I long dreamed of. But I am a 28 days, 28 weeks later fan. Those are my favorite zombie things.
I want to talk a little bit about the makeup, Rose, that you have to wear. How long did it generally take you when you were shooting the pilot to get it on?
Well, we spent a couple of, about 4 days spread out over a couple of weeks when I was working on another project preparing the makeup for the pilot. Because it is so key to the character. We had to work out like a sheen. We went for and Diane's very involved in this part of the process too, but we created like this white with almost a little bit of blue. We didn't want to go too grey, so we went for this kind of spray that I get sprayed. I try to wear long sleeves as much as possible to preserve my sleep in the morning, but it's all over me. And then we have like a wig, and we have at varying stages of me being hungry, I get darker and darker around the eyes, and I get redder and redder in the eyes. And then there's a point when I become rabid and I become zombified, and we see a glimpse of that, and that's like the full makeup effect. But it's a long time in the chair. It's a cool little thing to create every morning.
I have to tell you, Alan, one of the reasons it was so long in the chair is because when we were doing her makeup test, she's so glowing, like her skin is naturally glowing. So you're like trying to make Rose not be glowing, and it's like, just put on some more, just put on some more. She's just radiating through it, put on some more makeup.
So what was your goal, though, for going for this? Because you have a beautiful leading lady, and you want her to look like a zombie, but you're not going for something as disgusting as, say, what they're doing on The Walking Dead.
That is exactly the goal. We want her to be super pale, but we still want her to be attractive and desirable, and yeah. So
I believe the term is ZILF.
ZILF, yes.
We've got to hand credit for that one to Robert Buckley. Coined that on set.
She's a total ZILF.
Thanks, Buckley.
Let's go to the audience, see what you got.
Clinging to the roof of a car, driving through a forest in the middle of the night was definitely memorable for me. We had an amazing night shoot, actually. We were so delirious by the point that we shot a big action sequence that I don't remember the very end of it, and I only see it on the screen, and I'm like, oh, that happened. But being out there in the middle of the cold, it's exciting. Like, that was fun. That was
great.
facing the elements. It's fun for a bit.
We shot our zombie boat massacre out on Bunsen Lake in the middle of the night, and March, April, and so seeing all these extras having to go into that water, like, you could not have paid me enough money. It was cold in just standing in the air. That water, and they do it for like $80 extra.
I love that I have the same stunt double on this show. I hope I continue to, as I do on Once Upon a Time. And so she's worn like wings and Tinkerbelled me and harnessed me. And then suddenly I'm like, hi, me again, jump in the lake, middle of the night. NBD.
It lasts as long as she keeps eating bits of that brain. So once she quits eating that brain or eats a new brain, the new brain would take over. But if she were to keep parsing out little bits, she would keep existing as that person.
One of our writers, Lee, had suggested that we just show her having her traits and then hear a toilet flushing. And then we would know she was no longer a kleptomaniac.
I thought about giving that answer and decided to steer away from it.
I believe I made a very good decision in not.
I imagine so. I mean, they're kind of friends and people we would go to and are comfortable with. There's one character 3 or 4 episodes in who we're actually referring to by his real life name, and he's in Veronica Mars, so hopefully we will get him. I don't know if you noticed that Blaine's full name is Blaine De Beers, much like Roman De Beers from Party Down. So maybe Martin Starr shows up playing the brother of Blaine De Beers. That may be on the agenda. And honestly, both studio and network loved Darren Norris so much as the weatherman that they have said, get him back in the show as soon as you can. So we have to figure out how to get back to the weatherman.
Yeah.
In this case, Warner Brothers, in particular Susan Rovner, who runs their television development department, came to us with that very specific thing. She's the one who brought us iZombie and said, CW needs the next great female character on the network. We want Veronica, we want Buffy. I think this iZombie character is it, and pitched it to us. And so this is a case, I think, where the studio happily thought that we would give a strong female character. I've enjoyed doing that. I'm glad that we have a reputation for that because I was drawn to this character.
It's just funny because prior to us doing iZombie together, I had been developing for a few years, and every note I was getting back was, it's too female. I had like a former Olympic athlete like solving crimes, and it's like, it's too female. I'm like, okay. So it was great to have a network that wanted that strong female character and was into it. It was really refreshing and awesome.
I think it'll be very sort of adrenaline triggered. She won't be able to turn it on and turn it off at her will. It will happen sometimes when she very much does not want it to happen.
It's definitely not something I could bring my own personal experiences to the table with. But I think, when I put on a costume and when I get the makeup and when I have those various elements that bring the zombie side of it and the undead side of it to the table, I really just think about her as somebody who, in their mid-20s, doesn't have a strong sense of identity. She's lost her sense of purpose and she's looking for that again. My best friend in New Zealand is a forensic psychologist, and she works with the families of murder victims about where they find purpose and meaning, and if that helps them getting through in a healing process. And I think, like, in a serious note, that's how I look at Liv's dilemma. She's lost her life, literally, but she's lost her sense of self. She's had this terrible trauma befall her, and how she is able to help solve these crimes and restore justice for dead people is her way of finding meaning again in her life. So I think, like, I thought about it in terms of that stuff rather than in terms of playing dead.
As I said earlier, I try not to twist my mustache. That's just something I say too much. You know, I try to attack every character as someone that's not the villain. You know, that's doing what he thinks is right to get to the top of whatever mountain he's climbing. You know, and then you're given certain lines where it's just so uber villainy, and it's great. It's really fun to say those lines and to be that guy, but you gotta, like, play against that. Thank you, man. Thank you for asking me a question. You want to bro out later? What are you doing for lunch, man? I am a regular to start. Yeah, I am plagued by death, my characters are. And that's what happens when you play the heavy. The heavy, they drop the hardest. Did I just coin something? That was terrible. That's right, that was awful. You're welcome. I hope not. I hope they give me at least a 2-season run. 2-season run to prove my mettle, to prove my worth. But I'm looking forward to however many episodes they give me.
I think the memories of the people of the brains she's eaten in the past will eventually float out of her head, but not her own memories. She remembers all of her own stuff as clearly as any of the rest of us. We're going to have some, just given our network, and we're never going to get to be The Walking Dead in terms of gore. There will be deaths, there will be zombie deaths, there will be zombie fights, but it will not be shotgun blast after shotgun blast to the head. We will have some of that, but it will be, within the parameters of CW broadcast standards and practices. We will deliver some, but we're hoping, the things that we think will be our stock and trade are sort of the comedy and the romance and the big arching story more than the gore.
You haven't had to eat any yet, have you?
I haven't had to eat any.
We're working on it. We still haven't quite nailed down a recipe that,
was it, like gummy?
that works. We've got fondant, and it's this dense sugary icing. And then the other option was soy protein, very drenched in salt and hot sauce. So it's not delicious, but I feel like there's a whole cuisine range that we're going to work on. I'm going to be eating a lot of them, so lean cuisine brains.
There is a nearby off-camera spit bucket for
And a really lucky set decorator.
I can tell you one horrific thing. Dan Etheridge, who's one of the executive producers, we were shooting at a supposedly haunted insane asylum, and someone dared him to go up with no flashlight in the middle of the night and go up to the scary rooms where they used to electrocute people. And I was supposed to go with him, and I freaked out and cried and left, and he went by himself. So that was kind of horrific and embarrassing, and I shared it with you.
And we were all trying to make the day, and Diane was sobbing on the side. We've got an hour left, Diane, wrap it up.
It is more than just the drug, it's even more than a bad batch. There had to be a few ingredients that happened in this one boat massacre on a lake. A few people made it off that boat, and figuring that out is going to be one of the central mysteries of the show. Never talked about if she sat down and ate the whole damn thing. But we have talked about, she gets good things, she gets bad things, she gets memories, at points in the episode where she might think, I need to take another big helping because memories are fading or the power that I have is fading. But it only stands to reason that it would create a bit more, she would get a bit more of whatever she's experiencing that week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cast and creators of iZombie.